finally did it. They finally got me to make the switch. So for those of you who know my work, you'll know that I've always been kind of against, I guess, using 2470s in the past. You know, in the past, I used to think they were big and bulky and perhaps like too standard of a view, that they made you, lazy as a photographer. And I also kind of hated the fact that everyone uses a bloody 2470, and I definitely wanted to stand out and be different and use different gear from most people. So for the most part, I used and still continue to use the 1635, and then I fill in the gaps with primes, typically these ones over here. But Sony did it. They finally did it. This is the year that Sony has finally made a 2470 that I actually adore so much, that ticks so many of the boxes for me, that does so many things right. So much so that it's been glued on to my A1 pretty much all year. And I only ever used these primes for portraits. And even then, I took more portraits on the 2470 GM2 this year than on the primes. You know, this lens has changed how I see 2470s, and it's become my favorite lens that Sony has released this year, and it is quickly becoming one of, if not my number one, favorite lens of all time. In this video, I wanted to share some of my experiences in the last 7 months of owning it since it came out. Now, I've already done a full review on this lens, which you can check out here. But this video is going to be more about going over my experiences using it and showing you some of the shots and the footage that I captured with this lens this year, much like the last lens video on my channel about the very highly recommended 1635G power zoom that was released by Sony this year as well. So switching over to 2470 is a big deal for me. And one of the many things that has allowed me to feel comfortable switching over to this beast of a lens is the optical performance, especially when it comes to sharpness. And after having tested this lens for, I would say, the better part of this year now, across thousands of images and hundreds of videos, I can safely say with significant experience that this thing is just insanely sharp. Like I said in the review, this is truly prime level sharp, and it's so rare to find in a zoom lens nowadays. This lens is so sharp that really for me, there are only two reasons why I would ever use a prime lens in the 2470 range. Number one, if I absolutely wanted a fast aperture like f1.4, although f2.8 is totally fine for like 90% of my use cases. Or number two, if I wanted to go super duper lightweight. But for me, that's pretty rare. I am happy to carry around a little bit more bulk and a little bit of a heavier setup to a point if the versatility warrants it, and this lens certainly does do that. Now, this entire experience has honestly been quite polarizing for me, if I'm honest about it. Using this lens for me almost feels like cheating half of the time, almost like I'm doing photography on easy mode. I guess that's because I was used to coming from primes, especially in this range, but the versatility, the extreme versatility is jarring, and I'm just not used to that much flexibility in a single lens. This lens for me seriously does all of the categories that I engage in, and not having to change lenses so often and not needing to bring so many lenses with me all the time has been an absolute godsend. And I know I'm totally late to the club when it comes to having a 2470 as your main lens, but hey, I'm here now. Hello. This year, I've taken this lens to a few different countries across a few different trips. I've shot landscapes, portraits, street, architecture, and I've actually done quite a lot of product commercial work with it too. And it's handled all of those scenarios absolutely perfectly. I said in the last video that I was really starting to change my approach in regards to the gear that I bring with me on any given shoot, especially this year. I am definitely more considerate about weight and overall size and bulk nowadays. And, don't get me wrong, this lens is not the smallest thing out there. And weighing in at 696 grams, it's certainly not the lightest lens out there either. But This year I found great success in having this lens almost permanently attached to my Alpha 1. And as a combo, having the aforementioned 1635G power zoom attached to my Alpha 7 IV, but now soon to be Alpha 7R5, which I'm actually shooting this video on right now, means that I have two bodies and two lenses that cover almost all of my hybrid use cases, which is especially nice since I do so much video work now as well. And this two lens and two body setup is, for me, the least amount of gear that I can bring and still get all of the shots that I need. It covers a 16 to 70 millimeter range with space to APS-C punch in, giving me an extended reach of up to 105 millimeters, which is super nice. For me, I personally do need two bodies for my workflow because I often find myself in need of filming myself holding a camera on the video side of things, right? And on the photo side of things, the speed of having two bodies ready to go at all times rather than having to faff about and change lenses every time is such a huge workflow speed boost for me. And it's something that I've been doing for years and years already. And it's not something that I want to stop doing either. But all of this isn't really that possible with any other lens in the Sony lineup. In the past, I would have to bring with me a 24, a 35, the 55, the 85, all to cover the same range or the same styles and looks of images that I want to take. But now, I don't have to. I just take one lens. So I mentioned in the review video that this lens is absolutely fully featured, as you'd expect from a G Master lens, of course. It has the declickable aperture ring with the new iris lock. It has the zoom switch that goes from smooth to tight that's taken from the 100-400, which actually helps a lot when walking around with this lens to ensure that it hasn't fallen out to 70 millimeters all of the time. It has custom buttons and it has weather sealing and that amazing autofocus and all of that fun stuff. And on the imaging side, it's absolutely everything you would expect from a G Master lens as well. Exceptionally smooth bokeh, excellent flare resistance. Hell, in the thousands of images and the hundreds of videos I've taken with this lens this year, I've never seen a lick of chromatic aberration or any other imaging artifacts in real world usage. The performance of this lens is truly exceptional. This lens has the trifecta of trust that I need to put into my gear so that it gets out of the way of the work and becomes invisible to the process. And those three things are exceptional image performance, versatility, and size. Although with size, there can never be lenses that are too small or too light, in my opinion. So, I would never complain about getting these lenses even smaller than they are now. Now, the only place where this lens has marks against it is in the price. This is the best 24-70 on the market right now for Sony. This lens truly is the pinnacle of image quality for this range. And with that, you also have the price to match, and priced at $2,300 USD, the Sony 24-70 GM2 is expensive. There is no getting around that. But because of that, I can't recommend this lens to absolutely everyone, because honestly, it's not for everyone. This lens is for the people who want the best of the best and can also manage to justify the price that comes with that as well. And if that's you, if you're an enthusiast or you're a pro level photographer or videographer and you can justify this price, then man, you are not going to be disappointed with this lens. It's my favorite lens of the year and will probably be one of my favorite lenses for many, many years to come. All right. Let me know whether you're going to get this lens or maybe you can offer people an alternative or share experiences down in the comments below. As always, if you want to support my work or the channel, please check out my store where I sell courses, presets, prints, and ebooks on travel and photography. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. But until then, get out there and make something that matters. Peace.